And welcome to HLA webinars. My name is Carla Byers-Smolin. I am the National Chapter and Membership Coordinator for HLAA, and I am your host today. Today's presentation is Face Mask and Hearing Loss, Practical Tips and Strategies. I need to give you some technical tips before we start the webinar. You need to turn on subtitles for closed captioning for this webinar. This webinar is a little different than ones we've done in the past. You need to go to the CC button on your Zoom meeting controls to enable these subtitles. And then you can also change the font size of your subtitles on the CC button as well. You can enlarge or make them smaller. The other recommendation we have is to open up your chat box on your meeting controls as well. We found in the past that the captions and the chat box sometimes overlap. So if you open a chat box and move it on your screen over to the side, or enable full chat, that will go to the side of your screen as well. That way it will separate the captions and the chat messages in the webinar. You can, I would encourage you not to use the chat and the raise hand feature for this webinar. We are using only the Q&A option on the meeting bar. So if you have any questions, feel free to click on Q&A and type in your question there. Please do not use the chat or the raise hand feature. So I've covered some tech tips. So I'm going to turn this over to Lisa Hamlin, who is Public Policy Director for HLAA. She's generous enough to introduce our speakers today. So Lisa, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. It's good to have you all here today. As Carla said, I am the Director of Public Policy at Hearing Loss Association of America. But about 25 years ago, I was working with then called the League for the Hard of Hearing. It's in communication. Now, CHCA was established in 1910, 110 years ago. That's pretty good here. And it is a not-for-profit hearing rehabilitation center. It's based in New York City. Working at CHC over the years, I met many, many wonderful people on staff and many consumers as well. Two of those wonderful staff are with us today. We have Dr. Ellen Lafargue, who is the director, she's a co-director of CHCA's Shelley and Stephen Einhorn Audiology and Communication Centers and Barrelson Hearing Technology Center. Now, Ellen began her career at CHCA more than 30 years ago. Dr. Lafargue specializes in the state-of-the-art hearing device evaluation and fitting on adults. The Hearing Review named Ellen among the best hearing healthcare professionals in the US. And I can vouch for that. Ellen's wonderful. I also know well Carolyn Ginsburg Stern, who is the Assistant Director of Outreach and Strategic Initiatives at the Center for Hearing and Communication. As a bilateral cochlear implant user, she helps others with others hear and connect better with tips, technical information, and support. She is passionate about the role of healthy hearing and helping people lead productive and connected lives. She's a proud graduate of HLAA's NCHAT program, which I was part of too. NCHAT is the network of consumer hearing assistive technology trainers. And she was wonderful there too, as I'm sure she is wonderful at CHCA. And there she learned how to train other adults with hearing loss about hearing assistive technology. So I'm not going to take any more of your time. I'm going to turn this over to Ellen and Carolyn to have a wonderful session on hearing and in the pandemic.
Thank you, Lisa, for that very amazing introduction. I do appreciate it. at CHC, we have offices both in New York and in Florida, and we do consider ourselves experts in the area of hearing and hearing rehabilitation since 1910. And we have been experts in the area of face masks for about the last month or so. But we are really, really excited to be able to share hopefully some information with you that you find helpful. And we look forward to more collaborations like this. There is one additional tech tip that I would like to share with you, and that is if you run your mouse over the about one third to the left of your screen. If you hover, there will appear a gray line, and you can move that line back and forth to make the person's who is talking's face bigger and the slides smaller, or the other way around, you can make the slides bigger and the face smaller. So for those people who are wanting to rely more on speech reading, you might want to make the face part a little bit bigger. So the slide that you're looking at is just showing you some of the services that our agency provides. And fairly recently, we have started doing telehealth in a much bigger way. Today's agenda, we would like to cover these issues. We are going to be, Carolyn and myself will be talking for about 35 minutes, and then we will go to a Q&A section. Again, as Carla had said, please type your questions into the Q&A portion. We will answer as many as we can. Those that we can't get to will be answered and posted on HLAA's website. So we will get to the questions one way or another. Sorry, but my slide is not in there. There we go. So, sorry, my slides are not cooperating here. But I am just going to go backwards for a moment. If somebody could just back that up to the first slide after the agenda for me. I'd like to talk a little bit about why this is such an important issue. So as with over 35 years of experience as an audiologist, there are some very basic things that we say to every single consumer. And that is, make sure that you optimize the sound, that it's as clear as possible with as few interruptions as possible. Make sure that you get as much visual information as possible, and make sure that you are reasonably close to the person, preferably within 3 to 4 feet. Well, in the current pandemic situation, all of those things are out the window. We're not allowed to be out, at least where we are in New York area, without face masks covering our mouths. We need to be at least 6 feet away from people. And so we need to come up with ways of getting around these issues so that we can optimize communication as much as possible. There has been a study that was published in the Hearing Review in just a couple of months ago by Drs. Golden and Weinstein that explain that when you put a mask on, the mask creates what's called a low pass filter, which means that lower pitch sounds are allowed to come through and higher pitch sounds are what is blocked. And with a standard face mask that's not a surgical face mask, you are blocking somewhere between 3 and 5 dB. And with an N95, which is what is found in many medical settings, you are blocking up to 12 decibels. And that is a lot of sound to be blocked. Again, much of it is in the high-pitched area. In the English language, as many of you know, higher pitches are exactly where the meaning of speech is. So sounds like S as in Sam, F like Frank, T like Tom. Those are all high-pitched sounds, and those are all the ones that are most affected by the face mask and the filtering that is going on. In addition to that, many people with hearing loss have more hearing loss in the high pitch sounds than they do in the low pitch sounds. And so that problem is compounded by the filtering that's going on. So the, if I could have the next slide, please. One of the things that this is not the right slide, but we'll just go on anyway. One of the things that we have found to be very important is that people are wearing face masks, and there is this creation of this new animal called a clear face mask. And I have one here. And what you will see is that my voice is not quite as clear as it was a moment ago, but you can still hear me talking. When I got this in the mail a few days ago, I felt like I had won the lottery, because these are very hard to come by. There are more and more outlets for them, and we will try to get you some of that information in the handout or the mailing that will go out after this webinar is over. When you first put one of these on, the first thing that you'll notice is that this area fogs up, and you can completely avoid that by washing it with some dish soap and then drying it off, and it leaves a film that stops it from fogging up. And one thing that I learned today is that lipstick gets onto the mask. So you have to, if you're going to be wearing, if you have a family member that's going to be wearing one of these to communicate with you, then you need to be able to tell them to lay off on the lipstick a little bit. Also, you have to remember that these are not medically approved. So you will not likely be seeing these in medical facilities because they don't meet the standards that the N95 masks do. So that is something to keep in mind, when you're doing that. Excuse me. So what you want to think about is that wearing the face masks all day can be a little bit uncomfortable, especially if you have hearing aids, you have glasses. So we have come up with a couple of different ways of wearing the masks that will be a little bit more comfortable. The other thing that I'm always very worried about is the loss of hearing aids. And we are seeing a huge increase in the number of lost devices since people have started wearing face masks. So we've come up with a couple of suggestions to mitigate some of these. And if Carolyn is going to join me on the screen so that we can demonstrate that for you. And as promised, there we go. So Carolyn, who was introduced just a few minutes ago by Elise, is my colleague at CHC and is also a consumer of hearing healthcare. And Carolyn, if you would just show us a couple of things.
Okay. Hi, everybody. So I just want to first start off by letting you know that I have 2 cochlear implants, and they look like behind the ear hearing aids, like this. And I'm going to demonstrate now what happens when I put on a very basic mask with elastic bands. See what happens with my devices when I remove the mask.
And you can see that what just happened is exactly what happens. It gets tangled up, and it could happen that it would completely fall off.
It could completely come off. So we want to share some tips of the ways that you can secure your devices. They're not fail-proof, and we recommend that you take them off in a secure area. Shari Eberts, who I know many of you are aware of from HLA, wrote about this in her recent blog and suggested finding a special place in your home where you feel secure, taking off the mask so if the hearing aid or device falls off, you'll be easily able to find it rather than taking it off in the middle of a parking lot. So the suggestions that we have are several. One is, the idea is to secure your hearing device using an eyeglass strap. This is something I picked up at a local CVS drugstore. And here, we're recommending that you purchase 2 of these eyeglass holder straps with a little loop on the end of it. And then you need a safety pin. So here we go. I'll show you what it looks like. This is an example of an eyeglass strap with a loop on one end, and then I put the safety pin on the other end of the strap. Then you slip the loop. This is an old hearing aid of mine. You slip the loop onto the hearing device here. I don't know if you can see that. And secure it in a spot on the device that you feel is sturdy. You know, you don't want to put it too close to a very, very thin tube. So here's pretty sturdy. You put your device back on your ear, and then you pin it to your clothing, to your shirt or your jacket. And then if by chance the hearing device dislodges, it will fall only as far as the rope will go. These I was able to find in the drugstore display area for eyeglasses on the bottom, or just ask the store manager, and you can readily get these online. There's another commercially available product that does something very similar called an AutoClip, and it already has the clip available, so you don't need a pin. You can just clip it on to your clothing, and you can actually clip it on to the hearing device. And those are readily available online. Another suggestion is to use double-stick tape, double-sided tape, like wig tape, and you can get that online as well. Maybe at a local drugstore if you ask them where to find it. Another suggestion is to do what probably works best for me, someone with glasses and hearing device, is to wear, before you put the mask on, to put on a cloth band. These types of bands are readily available in all the accessory areas of drugstores for hair accessories, and I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to put it on now. And when I put it on, I'm covering up my hearing device and my eyeglasses. So it's pretty secure in here on both sides. For those of you who have hearing aids, you might likely get feedback. So this might not be the perfect solution for you. Maybe there's a little bit of a thinner band, or perhaps you can push it back a little bit and you will reduce the feedback that you might get. Okay. So that's something that could be very, very helpful. Okay. Something that Ellen Lafargue always says is, you know, if you're really, really nervous, don't go out with your hearing aids. But Ellen, did you want to make a comment about that for everybody?
So it is, the final thing that you can do is just not to wear your hearing aids, and then you can be sure that you won't lose them. Now, that's a painful thing for an audiologist to say, and there are many ramifications of doing that because it's going to obviously impact your communication while you're out. So you have to weigh in advance what the pros and cons are and what the risks are, and what your strategies would be in order for that to find out what's successful for you. It's all a matter of what is successful for you.
Okay. So now I'm going to take you through 2 different types of mask styles and how best to wear them with your hearing devices. Okay. So the first type of mask that I really think works best, and others are recommending this too, are face masks that have the ties on the end. People call them tie backs. This is just a standard mask that someone in my community made and gave to me. It was really nice of her to do that. And this doesn't have a clear panel. The problem with this is that the ties are too short, And my goal is to tie it in a way so that the string is pulled in front of my hearing device to the top of my head. And it's very, very easy to extend the string. Different ways you could do that is to add on a piece of shoelace, like what I did here. This is the same mask. I just added shoelace to it, a black shoelace to extend it. And you can find string in your house, and you can even cut an old t-shirt and with strips and add it to make it longer. And I'm going to tie it now so you can see what I mean by tying it to the top of your head. So just bear with me a minute while I tie it up.
So as you can see, this is not what one typically does with the strings, but it clearly keeps the strings away from her ears, away from her hearing devices, and still providing good protection from her mouth and nose area so that she's complying with what needs to be done when we're outside to be safe.
Okay. Whoops, see, it fell off. So you got to be really careful. And for those of you who aren't familiar with implants, the reason why it's not completely flying is because it's attached to a magnet on my skull, which actually prevents it from completely falling down. But for a regular behind the ear or a receiver and canal hearing aid, it would probably just go flying. Okay. The other style mask that you might be asked to wear, let's say you go to a doctor's office and they hand you a mask, or a hospital and they want you to wear with elastic bands. These are much more risky with hearing devices. And what we're recommending is to come up with a way to stretch the elastic off the ear and up on top of your head, or even below the neck. And many healthcare providers who are working day in and day out with the mask are telling us that the elastic actually makes their ears hurt. So there are many suggestions out there now of how to pull the elastic off the ear. What we recommend is look in your home for different things that you can secure the two mask elastic bands together. For example, you could find a little twisty in your house that's used for tying together plastic bags. You could also secure the two ends together at the top of your head using paper clips. Believe it or not, I'm going to show you what that looks like. Other suggestions are pieces of Velcro that you could push to tie together, and even just string, or you could even attach it to a ponytail or a bun on top of your head. I'm going to show you what it looks like with paper clips. So here I took the same type of mask and I put two paper clips together first, and then I attached each end of the paper clip to each of the elastic bands. Okay, I'm going to put it now on my head. Okay. I don't know if you can.
Yep, so we can see that yes, we can.
Okay.
We can see that the paper clips are securely on the back of your head. The strings are away from your ear and away from your hearing devices, and the mask is well in place.
Okay. So I'm taking it off very, very, very carefully. Okay. Now, the last suggestion is to attach to the headband that I had mentioned before, a cloth, 2 buttons. And these just happen to be the 2 buttons I had in my house. I would prefer them to be matching, and I would prefer this to be high style fabric and everything. But right now, this is what I have in my home. And I'm going to put it on and show you how you can attach the elastic bands to the headband. Okay. So just adjust it here. Make sure it's covering your devices appropriately. And then you just take the mask and you secure the two elastic ends to the button. I'm going to show you what that looks like. And I really like this because then I don't have to worry with my hearing aids fumbling, especially if I'm out and about. And then maybe when I get home, I could take off the band carefully. There are some other really creative ideas floating out there with buttons. There's another NCHAT graduate who I'm friends with who recommends putting buttons on baseball caps. And I've even seen buttons connected to eyeglasses with rubber bands. And someone else who I know who's involved with the HLA chapter of Pennsylvania, Chris Doing, recommends even wearing a baseball cap and attaching at the top of the cap the elastic bands. So there are lots of different creative ways to do this, and it's really up to you to figure out what works best for you. Okay.
So the next thing we'd like to talk about is once you have the masks in place and you know that other people also have their masks in place, we know that the sound is going not to be as good or clear or loud as it was before people were wearing masks, because they just simply are blocking the sound from going through to some degree. So the very first thing you have to remember is that many, not all, but many hearing devices have a volume control on them. And there's a lot of people who have not used that volume in years. So there's might be a button or a wheel on your hearing device itself. There might be an app on your smartphone that you could use as a remote control, or you might be able to get a remote control device for your hearing device. It's very variable depending on the model and the brand, but just remember that sometimes just increasing the volume can make a difference. It's not the magical answer, but it can make some difference. So remember that that's there as an option. All in all, what you're trying to do is get the sound into your ear in whatever way you can. So for some people, that involves using an assistive device, and maybe you already own one and haven't used it in a while, or maybe you've thought about it but never went around to purchasing it. There are what are called remote microphones. These can either be very brand specific, so that if you wear brand A hearing aid, brand A also makes a remote microphone that works directly with it. And by doing that, you would hold the microphone out towards somebody so that they can be aware that they can speak more clearly into the microphone, and that will transmit directly into your hearing aid. Other people, rather than having a brand specific one, use what's called an FM system. An FM system is a two-part issue, and it comes in all different kinds of configurations. I have one here to show you. This is called a MyLink, made by the company Phonak. This is worn around the neck of the person who has a hearing loss, and will work with any hearing aid that has a T-coil in it. And the other part of it is a microphone that looks something, this is one example of one, and they come in different shapes and sizes. This is a popular one called the Pen. And the idea behind this is it's a directional microphone. In other circumstances, you would likely hand the pen to the person you wanted to talk to. In the current circumstances, you may not want to do that because of bacteria issues and transferring them back and forth. So you would hold the pen out towards the person, even at a distance of 4 or 5 feet or 6 feet, it will pick up the sound better than just your hearing aids would. So what I would suggest is, if you haven't used these devices and you think it would be useful, is to contact your audiologist or whoever is providing your hearing health care, and they should be able to say, in your circumstances, with your hearing devices, with your hearing loss, this is what would likely be an improvement. In virtually all places, these kinds of things are sold on a trial basis, so you can purchase it and for most or all of your money back within a certain amount of time if it turns out it doesn't work for you. So that is something that, that we do think is a really good idea. There are many, many hearing aids now that are called made for iPhone. So if you have a smartphone that is an iPhone and you have one of these made for iPhone hearing aids, you can activate what's called the Live Listen. And that is an iPhone feature that turns your iPhone into a remote microphone as well. Many people have this but don't realize it, so that you can hold the phone out towards somebody. And again, that will just lessen the distance between you and that person's mouth by putting the microphone out here. And there are also directional microphones that can be added to the phone as well. These are not things that you're likely going to be able to piece together for yourself. I highly recommend that, especially for the ones that are brand specific, that you speak with whoever is your provider of hearing healthcare. The next section that we'd like to talk about is the use of smartphone apps and how some of these can be helpful. And my colleague will be talking about that now.
Thank you, Ellen. Okay, so over time, I think some of you from HLA have been hearing about smartphone apps that can transcribe speech pretty accurately. We call them ASR apps, automated speech recognition capability apps, or speech to text or talk to text apps. And this is a good time to try them out when masks are worn. Some of the apps that we recommend are Google Live Transcribe for Android phones. Ava and Au.D are two other apps that work both for iPhones and Android phones. And this is an example of my Android phone captioning. I'm trying to reduce the glare here, but captioning my voice as I'm speaking. And in today's environment, the microphone of the smartphone may not be capable of picking up this speech clearly if a mask is worn, especially at a social distancing distance of 6 feet or more. So what we're recommending is first, get familiar with these apps. We'll be sending a handout after the webinar with these apps on the handout so you can learn more about them, try them. And what we're recommending is to pair your smartphone with an additional microphone. This is an example of a Bluetooth microphone that can be paired with my smartphone. And just through Bluetooth, it's the capability of two devices connecting and talking to each other. And this one happens to be called a lead, Live 2 mic. And it's readily available online. You can order it. And what I do is when I'm out there, rather than giving the mic to the person, that's how I use it in my everyday life. When I go to a lecture, I'll hand it to the speaker. Of course, I make arrangements in advance to let them know I'm doing it. And then they wear the microphone on their lapel. And then I can sit wherever I want and it picks up the speech. But in this environment, we don't recommend handing this to someone if you want to keep it clean and sanitary. So you could hold it out, extend it. Some people recommend clipping it onto something else that can extend it further, like a ruler or something like that. In addition to in addition to Bluetooth mics, there are also plug-in mics that can be plugged into a phone. And these tend to work better with smartphones that have the headphone jack still built in, but many of the newer phones only have the Lightning or USB adapter. So that's something you could try, and it will enhance the performance of the speech-to-text app working in these environments. The other category of smartphone apps that I wanted to talk about are digital index cards. And the thinking here is, if you could prepare in advance before you go to a certain situation where you know you're going to be interacting with someone with a mask, for example, going to the drugstore to pick up some medication, you could prepare in advance paper index cards, like standard index cards that we all used to study years ago, or you could set them up on your smartphone app in a digital way. And you can prepare in advance. So I'm going to show you what I mean. I'm going to open up the app. And the reason why we want to do this is if you could prepare a few phrases that you think would really reduce the need for extra questioning, that would reduce confusion, and the need for a lot of spontaneous inquiry that it's so hard for people with hearing loss to pick up when it's, you know, out of context, and especially in this environment. It may really reduce your stress. At least it reduces my concern, my worry of mishearing, misunderstanding. So here we go. The two or three apps I recommend are Buzz Cards, Cardzilla, and Big Notes. This is an example of a Buzz card. I hope you can see this. Okay, I pre-populate and create the cards in advance, just like you would do on a paper index card. And then when I get to the store, I have my history. So I'll just go back a moment. I have a whole, I know you can't really see this, but I have a whole history of all the different potential phrases I might want to exchange with someone. And then when I get to the store or before I walk in, I can tap on the one that I want to start with. So here it says, I'm here to pick up my drugs called in by Dr. Green. My name is Carolyn Stern. And I forgot to mention that I actually created another one that I really should have said in advance, which is, I can't hear well with masks. Please speak slowly and clearly. Okay, and then I would show them why I'm here. I'm here to pick up my medication. There are lots and lots of different ways to use this, but I just wanted to share this tool with you. It could help. Okay, Cardzilla is another one, and I like it because it has an extra feature in it where you could actually hold the phone out and it can transcribe what the other person is saying. So let me show you what I mean. Give me a moment. Okay, so Cardzilla has a history of all the different index cards that I have created. Again, you probably will not see the history very well, but you will see the example. So this is another example, picking up takeout food. Sometimes it's really stressful for me because I never know what they're asking. Are they asking my name? Are they asking the order? Are they asking what time I called in the order? Are they asking for my number? Like, what order number is it? So I pre-populated on Cardzilla the same idea. I'm here to pick up takeout for Stern, 3 hamburgers and 2 chocolate milkshakes. Okay, then it's very simple. You can swipe it and it goes away, or you can simply just go like this and it disappears. And you could go back to the main spot, click on microphone, and then you could hold out your phone and ask the person to respond back. So you see, as I'm speaking, it's actually transcribing what I am saying. So it's really a combination of digital card and transcribing speech. I highly recommend that you test it out in advance, try them at home, and see how it goes. Okay. I wanted to mention one other really nice suggestion that Shari Ebert put in her recent blog, which was to use the notes feature in your iPhone. If you're familiar with that, it's a feature that's already built into your iPhone. You can click on notes and just start, typing or using the microphone to spell out what it is that you want to share with someone, or vice versa. You could hand your phone, reach out your phone to the person and they could speak as well and transcribe what is being said. Okay, so I want to conclude this section by saying smartphones are great. They may not work in every situation. And so you really should have, at least I try to bring with me pen and paper with me, because that seems to be fail-proof. Maybe bring a big fat marker so whatever you write could be seen clearly. Maybe bring some extra markers with you that you feel comfortable giving to someone else and letting them keep it at the end of the conversation. I hope some of these suggestions help you. So now this concludes the demonstration portion of our presentation, and we have a few more slides to review with you before we go to the Q&A. Okay. So beyond technology, there are many communication strategies that we can think about using when we're in difficult communication situations, when masks are worn. And many of these are applicable to everyday situations when masks are not worn, but I think we really need to dial it up now when we're in more difficult situations, when we can't see the facial cues that we so heavily rely on. The first thing is to really get comfortable with disclosing your hearing loss. For many of us, it's not a comfortable thing to do, given the different situations. Some situations are easier than others, and in some situations, you may not even need to disclose it because the people around you understand your communication needs. So I first recommend thinking about whatever situation you're going into, how will you let that person know or a group of people know your hearing situation, what you're capable of hearing, and how they can help you best. Some of the things you might want to ask someone to do is to speak slightly louder than usual with good enunciation, speak a little bit clearer, maybe a little bit slower, obviously not too slow. And what we really like to recommend at CHC, and maybe you've already applied this in your life, is to practice requesting rephrasing. What this means is if you need to ask someone to repeat themselves more than at least 2 times, you probably need to pause and think about asking them to phrase it in another way. Otherwise, they're going to get impatient and you're going to start to get frustrated. At least that happens with me. I get very, I don't feel good when I have to ask someone to keep repeating and repeating. So if you're not hearing what they're saying, or you hear a little bit of what they're saying, you could let them know what you did hear. You could say, you know, I heard the beginning, you said something about the red apples. I didn't hear the rest of what you said. And then ask them, could you please rephrase it? And that means to say it a different way. So they could say, what I'm talking about is down on this aisle, you'll see some apples, they're red and green. So that could be something you could try out. The other thing that helps me a lot, and we recommend this with our clients, is to prepare in advance by thinking about the potential vocabulary words that could be discussed and brought up in the setting where you're going. Think about and anticipate the types of questions that could be asked of you and the potential topics that could come up. And finally, a long-time friend of mine who doesn't hear very well and has to actually wear masks on her job. She's an occupational therapist. She said to me, remember that you can still see the eyes in most settings, maybe not when there's heavy PPE being worn in a hospital, but in most settings, you'll be able to see the eyes and rely on that. Look at the eyes, see what kind of cues you get. Try to smile, and the other person may notice your eyes smiling. That could help. And of course, rely on gestures. Ask the other person to point or to, you know, use body language to help you understand. So I hope some of these suggestions will help. And finally, we wanted to discuss some of the emotional aspects of all of this. If I could have the next slide, please. Okay. So today we gave you a lot of tips from a technology perspective, from a how-to perspective for wearing your mask, but we don't want to overlook all of the emotions that potentially come up, at least for me. This has made me very anxious, nervous, before I even go and do something. And then while I'm in the situation, I am a little on guard, you know, is someone trying to talk to me? I may not hear them. It creates a lot of stress. And in some cases, I may be even avoiding leaving my home so that I don't have to do this. We recommend that you solicit support from your friends at HLAA, use the websites at HLAA and other hearing organizations that have a lot of tips. Reach out to friends who could be understanding. If you can bring a friend with you or a family member to the communication setting where you're going to be and it's safe for them to be there with you, bring them. We recommend that you try to be as flexible as you can. Many situations do not go exactly as planned. Try to be flexible, be kind and gentle with yourself during this time, and practice self-care. That's something I try to do as much as I can, make sure I have enough sleep, because this is very wearing. Make sure I have time to go outside, and go outside if you can, wherever you live, if it's safe for you. If you feel like all of this is becoming too much for you to cope with on your own, and you feel like you would like some support, I wanted to share with you that CHC does have an emotional health and wellness department with several counselors available to provide support remotely. And this can be wherever you live across the US. So please reach out to us if you feel like you need support, and we're happy to provide that. Okay, so now I'm going to invite Ellen to come back onto the screen with us and talk a little bit about troubleshooting your hearing aids during this time.
So I'm going to make this really quick because we want to leave a little bit of time for some questions. But as you can see from the slide, they're just very basic issues of making sure you have enough batteries and that your batteries are working well. If you are the person who likes to run it down to the last possible second of the battery working, perhaps this is a time to be a little bit more generous with yourself and putting in a fresh battery before you really need it, so that it doesn't run out when you're in the middle of a stressful situation. If you're using rechargeables, make sure they're well charged before you leave the house so you don't add an extra layer of stress. As always, make sure your hearing aids are free of wax. Most of you will have tools that look something like this, that has a little wax guard that goes into the hearing aid. You want to make sure that you change them maybe more frequently than you normally would. If you don't have a good supply, you can try to contact your audiologist, see if they can mail them to you. Many of them are available at larger online retailers, so you may be able to get them that way. Be careful with moisture. If the hearing aids get wet, please don't put them in the microwave or use a hair dryer to dry them out, as we have seen many people do. Take them out, take the battery out, let them get dry, and most of the time they will come back to life pretty well. If they're broken, contact your hearing healthcare professional. And even in these times, many people are doing remote services and may be able to help with that. With wires, again, just be gentle on them. You don't want to pull the hearing aids apart. These are a very common type of hearing aid, and if you pull on this part of the wire, you will eventually interrupt the electrical connection. So you want to make sure that you have a better way of getting through that. There's a lot of online videos on YouTube and other places. Some of the hearing aid manufacturers have them. Many practices have them to help you get through things that you normally would go into your healthcare providers' offices to help you with. So we'd like to spend some time with questions and answers. And if Carolyn would come back on the screen, I will try to just scroll through here and see what we have. So the first question is it possible for people to make inexpensive opaque face masks at home? Carolyn, do you want to talk about that for a moment?
Sure. There are many people making face masks at home, and there are patterns available online. In the handout that will be emailed to you, there are 2 or 3 patterns, as well as some other sources. But please keep in mind that these are not medical grade masks, and do not be surprised if a medical provider or healthcare provider will not use it. They will not be thoroughly protected, but they're wonderful to use in your everyday environment.
The next question I think would be best addressed by Lise Hamlin, if she's still here, if she could come back on. There we go. Thank you, Lise. Of course, now I lost the question. I'm so sorry. The question was, this is a person with a severe loss who wears a powerful hearing aid, and she's a first grade teacher working for a school district with a human resources department that does not want to provide accommodations for her hearing loss. She's in California, which is going to require students to wear masks. Do you have any suggestions or recommendations?
Okay, first thing is they should be providing you the accommodation. I'm not an attorney, but I can tell you from my experience as an advocate for people with hearing loss that you sometimes need to push a lot to get an accommodation. But in the meantime, some of the assisted listening devices that Ellen and Carolyn have been talking about today, whatever works for you best, whether it's a basic pocket talker or an FM or a Roger pen, or even one of the speech to text apps. In the meantime, you might get that for yourself anyway, and then you can see if you can use that in school. But I'd also encourage you to advocate for yourself in the school system, and feel free to email HLA. You can email me, and we'll work with you with that.
Thank you. Carolyn, the next question is for you. What are some ways to self-disclose?
Okay. You know, I think this is a very personal question about how best to disclose. And I think it really depends on your setting and who you're interacting with. If you're in an environment where you think that there is very little awareness about hearing loss, you might have to be very, very explicit about what you mean. And you might need to show your hearing aids. Sometimes I find that actually helps, especially if you have hair covering your hearing aids, or they're so tiny now that you might literally have to show somebody the device. I recommend always speaking from, personal, like, I have a hearing loss. I cannot hear you from 6 feet away. It's very difficult for me. Could you please speak louder? Could you please help me? It's a very personal thing. I will say one other thing. Sometimes I have to exaggerate a little, because sometimes I say, like, I really cannot hear anything, even though I really can hear them a little. I really have to, like, make it dramatic for them to get it. And sometimes I have to repeat it several times before someone understands. So there's really no perfect way to self-disclose, but try out different things and see what works best for you.
The next comment someone made is, my sister is a nurse in Seattle, and she told me today that the hospital does not use clear masks for deaf and hard of hearing patients. And yes, I'm not shocked to hear that, because they do not have the approved N95 the same amount of protection as the approved N95 masks do. So for patients that are in areas that are very high risk for transmission of the COVID-19 virus, these pretty much homemade masks or more informal masks are just not approved, and they're not safe for those situations. Another person asks, how about wearing a gaiter mask? That's a really good way of avoiding the hearing instruments, because you pull it from here and you pull it up and it doesn't get anywhere near your ears. Again, that doesn't, it doesn't fly in medical facilities, because it doesn't have the same protection. So just for your information. Just give me a moment to look through some of these. people have some really good suggestions and hints that they're sharing here about different ways of using the strings and the masks. And I think what we'll try to do is summarize some of these and put them in the Q&A follow-up on the HLAA website, I believe, after this. Somebody asks, how are Huggies working with masks? Huggies are something that are used for kids' hearing aids. Yeah, they work quite well, actually. Children and masks are a whole different subject area. Not all, some masks come in different sizes so that they fit the children's faces better. And sometimes there are some things that go along with pediatric hearing aids that can work to keep the hearing aids in place much better. So those are areas that come up. Says you.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just need to remind you we have 5 more minutes, okay?
Okay, I'm hurrying. Thank you. There's a question here. What about glasses fogging up with masks? Hard to manage when you have multiple items behind the ear. Carolyn, you're an eyeglass wearer. Do you want to talk about that at all?
You know, I've been playing around with that a little with my glasses, about the glasses fogging. I find when I wear this mask that it actually has a little metal band that I can push really hard down so that it shapes around my nose. And when I do that, I find that it actually doesn't fog as much. So maybe a mask of this kind might work better, or the masks that have a little more of a shape for the nose area. We've been told, I haven't had a chance to try yet because I don't have a clear mask, but we've been told sometimes using like a little bit of soapy water and letting it dry on the mask helps prevent fogging, and that might help with glasses not fogging as well. Was that answering the question?
Yes, so I have 2 more kind of interesting questions. One is from obviously an audiologist who says, any tips on completing speech testing with everyone using masks? And this is so that you can be, the audiologist can hear the person who's being tested. And the solution for me at our practice is going to be that we have glass in between where the client is sitting and where the audiologist is sitting. And during that period of time, it is fine for the person to take their mask off, complete the test. We can hear and see the person talking, and then put the mask on before we come back in the room. And we're going to be sanitizing the rooms in between each patient anyway, is what the CDC is recommending. So we feel like that'll be the best way to deal with that. And last interesting question is, what is the best way to clean off a device like the pen or other devices after being used? And there are approved non-alcohol medical grade sanitizers that can be used. You want to be careful about using alcohol-based ones with like some of the more common ones that you would use, because that can damage the it can damage the mechanism. So you do have to be careful about that. Again, your audiologist may be able to help you secure some of that. And I think that's all we have time for. There are lots more comments and questions, and we will try to answer those afterwards.
Hey, oh my goodness, ladies, you really have hit a hot topic today. We had over 600 people on this call today, and we have 95 questions in the Q&A right now. So there are a lot of questions and concerns about face masks. I've left Ellen's and Carolyn's email up here if you would like to contact them directly. As Ellen mentioned, we will be having a Q&A post with the webinar once we get the questions answered from this webinar to the HLA website. I have to thank Ellen and Carolyn for their wonderful presentation today. So informative, so practical. The tips were very helpful. Deanna, thank you so much for your wonderful part reporting today. And Lisa, thank you for your time as well today. As I mentioned, this will be posted to the webinar. This webinar will be posted to the HLA website at hearingloss.org. And please check hearingloss.org for future webinars, webinar recordings, and future events such as our live experience coming up in June. I thank you for joining us today, and stay safe, be well, and have a good day. Bye-bye.